Go ahead.
Welcome into Press Box Live for one last time of the 2025 baseball season. Luke Jackson and I are humbled to be working with Ross Grimsley, the old left-hander, and Ross will return with us come the 26th season. May even have him on during the winter
Yeah,
baseball
as
meetings.
as moves necessitate, then we'll have the old left-hander on to give his opinion.
Yep.
I'll be
Yeah.
here.
And we are brought to you as always, and will be in 2026. I feel pretty comfortable saying that. Will be brought to you by the Costas Inn once again. And we give them 6 thumbs up between the three of us. If we had 8 thumbs between us or 9, you'd get them too.
Yeah, put some toes up here.
Now,
Stan and I were there this time last week, and it was very good.
we had a
And
nice
we got
lunch
some
with
we got some work done there as
we had
well.
some nice lunch with Bill Ordine. Um, guys, you got Luke. You got the breaking news. I have the older news that the Orioles have signed to major league contracts. Luis Vasquez to a 1-year major league contract, and Rico Garcia will be back next year as well. Now, Luke, those contracts doesn't mean that they're going to make the team. It
Right.
means
It
that
means they're coming to camp, is what
they're
it means.
coming to camp. They're going to be in the organization, and they
Right.
have a split scale. Like if they play at Norfolk, they probably make
Yeah, I
like
don't know what their option situation is,
yeah,
but I'm guessing they were under club control.
yeah.
The team wanted to bring them back, but they didn't want to like take them to arbitration or anything, so they got a number um, nailed down for both of those
All
guys.
right,
I assume that was the
But
situation.
Luke, you have the big breaking news today.
Well, I don't know how big the breaking news is, but Tyler O'Neill will be back. He opted back into his contract, which has about 2 years and 33 million left on it, if I'm
Woo-hoo!
not mistaken. So apparently, he and his agent Scott Boras thought that they could not do better than that on the open market. And guess what? I would agree with them. And the other one was Jorge Mateo. He had a $5.5 million club option that has been or will be declined by the Orioles, which is
Okay.
not surprising because he had a really injury plagued season and when he was healthy enough to play, he didn't hit. So
Now it seems fitting that on a day where the Red Sox announced that a $40 million a year player who had 2 years and 40 million each year left on his contract has opted out. Alex Bregman has opted out. The Orioles
Ooh.
are having a 2-year, $17 million player a year or 16 and a half opt in.
Opt
I
in.
think that's all you need to know about the current state of the Orioles. And one of these days, David Rubenstein and Mike Elias and Mike Arrighetti will have to pay some big bucks to somebody, but
mhm.
and it may come this year in the way of a pitcher. But before we get into it, delve into a few Oriole things, let's wrap up this World Series. Luke, what did you think of those last 2 games?
Oh, those last two games were magical. I watched them start to finish, and the just jaw
Were
dropping
you
stuff.
on were you on the edge of your seat on
I
every
was
pitch?
absolutely on the edge of my seat for both games. No question about
All right. Ross, for somebody that actually watched the game,
it.
tell us a little bit about what you thought. You know, every year, every time, the older I get, there's always more debate about. I don't remember like in 1960 saying this is the greatest World Series ever, but
Yeah.
a lot of people are saying that already. And I'm listen. I thought it was a great series, especially the way you had an 18 inning game, which was to me really kind of magical, and reminded me how much I love it in the postseason,
Mhm.
but like the Ghost Runner in the regular season. But I got to tell you, um, I don't I don't say it's the greatest World Series I've ever seen. You know, that last game and Yamamoto's effort in 2 games was just something I don't think we'll ever see again.
Well, you saw Bumgarner do it several years ago.
Yep.
Pitching and then going out there 5 innings. As a matter of fact, he told Bochy, he says, "I'm in the game." He just told him, "I'm in the game." He went out there, warmed up, went in the game, and the rest is history. But yeah, that series had a little bit of everything, which
Yeah,
was and it was extremely entertaining. I don't watch complete ball games, but I watched a lot of the World Series this
yeah.
year, and it was very entertaining. And I guess the viewing audience, by their numbers, said the same thing because it was
What
pretty
kind of
exciting.
numbers? What kind of numbers were there? I
Wasn't it
haven't
I,
seen
like
them.
wasn't it like 25, 26 million for game seven
I think it's more
Stadium?
than that, if
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken.
Maybe
They
that was
compared it to the Houston Astro somebody,
Dodger series.
and yeah,
The
they will come
Astros
out
Dodgers.
tomorrow. They'll come out with the numbers what it was. But I thought it was a great series, a little bit of everything, very exciting. I mean, I thought Roberts just showed that he is.
He is a master, man.
I
He
tell you,
really is.
I mean, he put Rojas in as a defensive. He didn't expect him to hit, but when you got really good pitching, you can do that. And this guy came through. He made a lot of defensive plays
I,
that
I
that
gotta,
was
I gotta tell you, I was sitting there on Friday and Saturday, and not so much Friday because they had the game somewhat in control. I mean, it was nail biter at the end, but on Saturday they had the situation like in the sixth inning. They had it. Was it the bases loaded or I don't have my score sheet. I actually scored the last four games of the series, but they had a situation where Rojas came up with two outs, and I go, "You got a $400 million payroll, and they don't have anybody better than this to bring up." And then he
yeah,
comes up in the ninth with one out, and I go,
right.
"I can't believe they're letting this guy bat, and they don't have a left-handed hitter to put in." And all of a sudden, I go,
Yeah,
"Maybe
yeah.
you
So
have it."
I fell out of my chair.
Yeah,
I'm going, are you? I go, Roberts is a genius.
right,
He,
right. And
he
how
put the
about
guy.
put the timing of putting Podges in, the
Oh
center
yeah,
fielder?
yeah, and
Uh,
he makes that play.
yeah, he made that play was absolutely fabulous.
I
But
think there
you
was.
know, Luke and I were talking the other day, and Luke, I want your opinion on
Mhm.
air on this. That there really isn't or wasn't a tremendous amount of difference between the Dodgers, Toronto, Seattle, and I'll say Philadelphia.
Yeah, I think
Those were
those
the
four were very tight. And you think
yeah.
about the series between the Phillies and the Dodgers, that could have gone either way. The Phillies and no, excuse me, the Mariners and the Jays, that could have gone either way. That could have very easily been won by the Mariners. We discussed the decisions that Dan Wilson made in that series a few weeks ago. And then the World Series, Dodgers and Jays, that could have gone either way as well. So I think that those four teams were absolutely at the top of the league this year and very, very close.
What's fascinating to me, Ross, is the Dodgers spent all that money on Tanner Scott, and
Yeah,
then they had like four backups. Had Kirby Yates, they had Blake Trinan, and they had Kopech. And by the end of the season, the manager clearly had zero. All this talk about I have confidence in everyone in this room.
yeah,
He clearly didn't have any confidence in any of them, other than some mild confidence in Sasaki,
Right.
because he was too
yeah.
young. But your thoughts on that? That bullpen.
I tell you having and this is why I like the Dodgers. It could, like you said, it could have went either way, but they got starting pitchers and they come on at
Hmm.
the end when they needed to,
Hmm.
and then they could, usually starters when it comes to a series or playoffs and you got to win. If a starter that's pitched, he'll and he can go out and pitch again, he'll do it
Right.
because no matter how you feel, how sore you are, it's the World Series or the playoffs, a big game, and you're doing whatever you can, and that was the big difference, I think.
I wanted to ask you this, Ross. So how do you think um, Yamamoto's arm felt in game seven when he was going into pitch after having thrown 96 pitches the day before, and how did his arm feel the day after?
Probably numb. Probably not. I tell you, usually when you pitch, you're the sorest, not the day after, but the day after, the second day.
Mhm.
That's when you feel the worst. But you watched him pitch, and I knew when Otani was pitching, you could see the first couple of pitches he threw in the game, he was missing way up and off
Yeah,
the
he was.
out of the zone.
I
He
didn't
just
like. I didn't like of all Robert's decisions, and I've criticized him on about three or four, but I thought pitching him over Glass now, especially when you knew Glass now was going to throw, I would have started the game with Glass now. He only threw about 6 pitches tonight.
Right.
I
Yeah.
didn't think
well,
I,
Otani.
yeah, I thought that would have been a reasonable choice as well.
Yeah,
It, I guess they thought that because they were going to use Otani in that game at some point,
yeah,
it would have made more sense to start with him or really use him as an opener because I'm sure he has some elaborate warm-up routine.
yeah.
And so they ended up just starting with him. And then Glasnow and Snell, I guess, have pitched in Glasnow definitely has pitched in relief in the past. I'm assuming Snell has as well. And Yamamoto, he's one of those veterans from Japan who, I mean, I think I read that he had thrown like 160 pitches in a game at one point.
well, they throw
Like
every
crazy.
day.
Yeah,
They
and
throw
so
every day in over in Japan, but they don't throw full bore. It's a thing that they've done for years, and that's something that I think wouldn't be a bad idea here if they have to start it at the lower minor league. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think the starting pitchers. Toronto had Savage and
mhm,
all those guys threw. The bullpens were the Dodger bullpen was almost non-existent. It seemed like, but starting pitching, defense, it'll win all the time in most cases, and usually the cream rises to the top. Most of the time somehow. I mean, there were some funny plays. Some really the play at the plate that could have won the game for Toronto, where the catcher picked his foot up and set it back down in time. There's just so many little plays that were done. Base running, uh, with second and third, and guy got picked off a second base on a fly ball. That was ridiculous. I mean, you
mhm.
can't be doing that. And
I,
guys diving for balls in the game where they shouldn't dive for, just make a
plays at the plate. There were plays at the plate,
oh
third
everywhere. Yeah.
base, everywhere. Ross, I wanted to ask you about something. There was an issue, and apparently it irked the Blue Jays a little bit when Otani was late each inning in the start in game 7. He wasn't
Right.
on the mound in a timely fashion. Was that fatigue?
I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah,
It very possibly could have been because he just wasn't. He didn't have the command, and that's the first thing you see when a guy gets tired, especially if pitching a game. Uh, Starter, he gets in the sixth or seventh inning and starts elevating the ball and missing. Well, he was doing that at the very beginning of the game, so that kind of told you a little bit something wasn't just right. But most of the time, like I said, in games like that, everybody is on board to go in the game, and usually that important of a game, you're not going to feel nothing. You're going to feel really, give me the ball, let me go out and do my thing. And
So let me correct myself. I said 160 pitches Yamamoto had thrown in Japan in one
yeah.
game. Tanaka was the one who did that.
Okay.
So Tanaka did that, I think, in 2013. Yamamoto's single game high in Japan was 138. So this was not his first rodeo, basically.
yeah, no.
Hey,
And a lot of times, a guy, you can throw 138 pitches and your arm feels good, and you can throw 75, 80 pitches, and it's taxed more because maybe it's a close game. Every pitch means something. And you throw 138 with no problem, and you just breeze through it because it's
Yeah,
no tax.
I was amazed to see him do what he did because it seemed like in watching the game back, because as Stan mentioned, I didn't watch it live because I was actually at a couple concerts those two
Nope.
nights. So uh but in watching the game back, it seemed like in his start in game 6, his velocity started to dip in the sixth inning. And so I thought maybe his gas tank is on E for the season. And then he gets a good night's rest, and tells Dave Roberts, I'm ready to roll. And his velocity's right back to where it normally is the next day. And so, and it's funny. I'm sure the Dodgers would like to really slow play him in spring training, but the WBC is next year, and you bet your ass Yamamoto is going to want to pitch for Japan in that. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. It's he's I mean, watching him pitch, he looked, he's got 5, 6 different
mhm.
pitches. The ball's moving all over the place, and he throws strikes. He gets ahead of hitters. He changes speeds. He's able to throw off speed pitches behind an account.
Mm.
He just keeps you off balance and keeps you guessing. And he was outstanding. He was
And
just
he's a
outstanding.
dog,
I
Stan. He
just
is a
wanted to
dog.
say,
He's a dog.
speaking of dogs, this was just a random grouping of pitchers and it's about 30 pitchers long, but I think you both will get the point that Mr. Elias, and we've talked about this, that he doesn't use draft capital,
Mhm.
significant draft capital on pitchers.
Mhm.
He spent what we got back in return were high draft pick pitchers, not first round pitchers, but in that case of what's his name, Boston.
Mhm.
Is it Blake Boston? What's his name?
Boston Bateman.
Boston Bateman. He's a second rounder. The
Mhm.
guy from the Blue Jays was a
Was a
third
third or
rounder.
fourth, or yeah.
Yeah, and the guy, one of the guys from the Mets was a third rounder. But get a load of this: Savage, Freed, Rodon,
Mhm.
who Hamels, Weaver. This is goes back years. I was just writing them down.
Mhm.
Blake Snell, Bumgarner, Kirby, Gilbert, Gosman, Bauer, Trevor Bauer, Greinke. The point was, out of about 40 pitchers I mentioned, or about 23 or 24 of them were first round pitchers.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Sometimes you got to expand, and it also comes back where you have the team control for several years once they make it to the majors. And this is an organization that hasn't wanted to extend itself for pitching. Sometimes you got to invest wisely in the draft and get pitching, you know?
I mean, the draft and develop story of Trey Savage is pretty unique in the sense that he was drafted last year, and
He was
he,
an
he was
A ball
drafted.
this year. Yeah.
Yeah, he was drafted 2 picks before the Orioles took Vance Honeycutt, actually.
Yeah.
So he started in low A and he ends in the major leagues. And obviously, the Jays were comfortable pushing him that fast because that quickly because he was good enough to handle it. But also, Ross, I'm sure you can't do that with every pitching prospect because not all of them can handle it up here, right?
Yeah.
You when you draft when you draft a guy number one, hitter, pitcher, whatever, this guy's going to play in the big leagues. I
Hmm.
mean, that is you have to he's going to be in the big leagues. And pitching wise, you just got to. I just don't understand why. I mean, I think the Orioles use the same thing that Houston does. We'll sign free agents. We'll trade for them.
Yeah.
Well, who you got to trade for them? Who you got to trade for a top? You're not going to trade.
Yeah. I mean, Kowser and Kerstad, and, they're
But you're
not
not going to
bringing
get,
top. Yeah.
Mountcastle. You're not going to get. The other teams aren't stupid.
Right.
I mean, Jimmy Christmas. You think you're going to. Well, we'll trade him, and we'll get. You know,
Right.
Yamamoto. No, you're not. You ain't got anybody on that team that they would trade for Yamamoto, or that the Dodgers would trade. It's crazy, but yeah.
Let me pay a few bills, but the bottom line out of this list, and this was a random list. I mean, it had some pitchers like Brian Wu is a sixth rounder, Justin Steele's a fifth rounder, Scooble was a ninth rounder, Bieber was a fourth rounder, but the majority of these out of 40 pitchers, there was like 25 or 26 of them that were first round pitchers. And
Yeah.
they're some of the best names that came to my mind over the last 15, 16 years,
Well,
And
but you need somebody in the organization wherever you're at that is savvy with pitchers
yeah,
that knows, hey, I'm not going to draft this guy. He's got a bad delivery.
Yeah.
He's got a bad arm action. It don't look like
You've
a change.
referenced Dick Tidrow
Yeah,
before.
I mean, yeah, but a number one, you draft a guy number one, he's going. He got to have the tools to play in the major leagues. If you don't, I mean, it's not a guess. You
Yeah.
got to look at this guy. You got to put yourself on the line and go, this guy's going. I mean, Bumgarner. You knew Bumgarner was going to be a major league pitcher. He just needed to, to learn some of the things that you went along. And the thing is you don't want to put him there too soon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better to let him sit for, a
I
little
mean,
while.
the point I make is 51 pitchers going into this year's draft and trade deadline. Orioles under Mike Elias had drafted 51 pitchers, and Cade Stroud's the only one to pitch for the Orioles.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I mean,
you got
that's a pretty damning.
you got to
Yeah.
have somebody in an organization that knows pitching.
Now,
You know?
here's the other flip side of that is the Orioles under Andy McPhail and Dan Duquette, they expended some energy on pitchers. Not McPhail, but Duquette drafted Dylan Bundy and Gosman, and the way they developed Gosman, in my opinion, was so pathetic that they never allowed him to be great at the minor league level. It's always a question of, hey, we need a pitcher Tuesday. Let's bring him up. And it was like, regardless of how he'd been pitching at Norfolk.
Right. They didn't have anybody in the minors except for Gosman and Bundy. And then
Yeah.
once Gosman got to the big leagues, they screwed up his development in the sense that they were trying to turn him into a three-pitch pitcher.
Right.
He's a
Yeah.
two-pitch guy. He's always had a shitty breaking ball. Excuse
Yeah.
my French.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when he went to San Francisco, your old organization, Grims, they told him just throw your fastball and split. Just throw
Yeah.
that. And he turned into one of the best pitchers in the big leagues. And then he goes to Toronto. A great buy for Toronto. One of the reasons they got to the World Series was that they signed Kevin Gausman to a 5-year deal for very reasonable money. And he's a fastball split guy. He throws his fastball like half the time, his split half the time. And
Yeah. And he shows
works.
them a breaking ball. A breaking ball don't even have to be good. Just don't throw it where they can hit it. At least you make
What's he
Go ahead,
making
Sam.
now, Gosman? 22,
He's on a
23?
5-year, 115 mil contract, I
Yeah,
think.
it's like a 22 year.
Is one of the great free agent buys of the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Too. That's,
All right.
I mean, two big reasons why.
Guys, I need for one last time this season, we got to get our thumbs ready and exercise them real good because the Costas in. We give them 6 thumbs up between the three of us, located at 2 places now, 2 great places, destinations. The old location, 4100 North Point Boulevard, and that's the one. You got to take down the phone number, 410-477-1975, 410-477-1975. If you want to plan a party, a crab feast party during the holiday season, keep the Costas Inn in mind at North Point Boulevard. You can't go wrong. Timonium, the location right above the grandstand, right next to the OTB and the Timonium Fairgrounds. That location has everything on the menu except the pork chops. It's clear now that they don't have pork chops at the Timonium
I don't
location.
know about that.
I'm gonna by the opening day, they're gonna have. I'll tell you that next year. But seriously, and one of the things I wanted to point out, we were there for lunch, Luke. If you haven't been to the Costas Inn for lunch or the new Costas Inn, try it out for lunch because it's really a terrific place, convenient for the ladies who are out, out and about, doing their shopping, meeting up to gab with their friends or anything like that. The Costas Inn in Timonium, a great lunch destination, and now conveniently located in the Timonium area, the Costas Inn, and we thank them for their year-round sponsorship with these programs and in the paper, in press box. Guys, to wrap things up now, that series was tremendous. What do the Orioles have to do to be back to be legitimate contenders, not necessarily to win the World Series next year, but to be back as a relevant contending team?
I appreciate Ross's laugh there because that
Yeah.
was like how much time do we have left? Laugh, and so
Well, we've got about
I
5 or
enjoyed that.
6 minutes.
I
Yeah.
will say this, that Toronto has eliminated a lot of excuses for the Orioles because I know they've got a higher payroll than the Orioles, but they deal with a lot of the same challenges of being in the AL East that the Orioles do. And number one, that's number one. And number two, Toronto was down last year, just like the Orioles this year. And they bounced back and were literally like 2 inches away from winning the World Series. As close as you can come to winning the World Series without winning,
Yeah.
I'd say. And so really eliminates a lot of excuses for the Orioles that a team that I understand they're in a much bigger market. I understand they have a bigger payroll, but they're in a roughly equivalent situation as you. Um, the excuses are over. Let's go.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, Toronto, they put the ball in play almost 82% of the time. They didn't strike out a lot. Top batting average, top on base percentage. Uh, they just did so many things right. Led the league in hits, doubles. I mean, they swung the bats really well, and they got some pitching. And the Orioles. I mean, they were 33 and 43 against the teams in the playoffs. They were 22 and 30 in the AL East. So they got some work to do, and I think a lot of it the pitching. The bullpen has to be totally restructured.
Need a
I mean,
closer, right?
you
They've
need
got
everybody
they've
down
got
there.
Garcia back though.
Oh, right,
Now
right.
there
You
you
know what? I
go.
already forgot from the top of the
Yeah,
show. That's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
but
That quickly standing.
you got Rogers, you got Bradish, you got Kramer. You don't know about Rodriguez where he's going to go. You got. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that has to go into as far as pitching. They got some new hitting people come in, new manager.
Ross,
I tell you
Looks like
what.
they're going to have a totally new staff.
looks like the staff's going to be
Oh
totally
yeah.
new.
Well,
Yeah.
they got
I
to start from scratch doing the basic fundamentals. Those two teams, the Dodgers though they did make some mistakes, they do a lot of things right. And the Dodgers have always done things
Let
right.
me ask you a question. Let's just assume that Mike Elias is going to spend some money under the guidance of Mr. Rubenstein, and that the pitching is going to be improved. Okay, in terms of depth in the starting and quality in the starting. How do you turn around those swing and miss guys into being, I mean, that Ernie Clement, what a find he was by the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, he's now got a major league record, a World Series, well, postseason record. And I understand the last 20 years they play a lot more games, with 30 hits in the postseason. This is a
Yeah.
guy who virtually never swings and misses. And it seemed like the Blue Jays, just like Kansas City back in 2015 and 16, they're always making contact. They're always tough outs. And our team was like a paper tiger, it seemed like.
What about Kirk? Kirk's a guy. They put the ball into play. They hit it the other way. Hit it with. I mean, they did so many things. They bunted the guys over for God's
Yeah,
sakes.
yeah.
I mean, they did so many things, and you got to get back to doing that. You got
Well,
to make contact.
how do you take a Cowser who obviously has certain skill set, but that's 40% he's striking out? Is it
Yeah.
simply, as Luke always points out, the inability to recognize a breaking pitch? I mean,
Well, when you're
you're
when you're
never going to
swinging
change
when you're
that.
swinging from your ass every
Yeah,
pitch.
every pitch.
I mean, and you don't do two strikes. Now you're just trying to put the ball in play,
Yeah.
or move a guy over for God's sakes one time. Move him from second to third with less than two outs. I mean, there's so many little things that they didn't do, and you have three hitting coaches. So that right there is a mess when you
Yeah.
got when you
Three
got too
hitting
many
coach.
you got too many coaches. You got too many people talking. I don't
You
give
got
a
too many chefs spoiled the stew.
you got too many roosters in the hen house is what you got.
Luke, your reaction to that? Let's assume that they're going to fix the pitching well enough that that won't be the reason. Okay, how
Mhm.
do you get? They're not going to suddenly get 7 new ball players
Right,
that are play. So you've got Mayo's probably going to play a lot at first. You
right.
got Holiday, you got Henderson,
Uh-huh.
and you got Westberg, and then you got O'Neill.
Rutschman,
Cowser, and probably Beavers.
probably.
Yeah.
And you got
Uh,
Rutschman and Basayo.
and you got Rutschman and
And all
Basayo.
those guys have to play better than they did last year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
I'm, I'm getting somebody. I'm getting two
so
somebodies out there.
I don't know. Like,
What position do those somebodies play?
Well, in the outfield, probably because your infield's pretty much set unless you're looking for
well,
another first
I'll tell you what,
baseman.
Ross, someone like a Cody Bellinger would be a really nice fit because he could protect you at both first base and in the outfield. So if Kobe Mayo doesn't come along next year, Bellinger can play first base. And if Cowser keeps regressing, then Bellinger can play the outfield. You know what I mean? Someone with some positional versatility that whichever one of your young guys sucks next year, that guy can just play that position.
Well, if you can get a quality outfielder, or you get two quality players, whoever's in the outfield is not going to be there. You know,
I'm not going to be picky about where this guy plays. They need someone who can freaking hit.
Yeah.
really. I mean,
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I'm going to
and
worry
the,
about
the big
where
thing
he
is
plays.
how important is it to win?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. It's money, and I think this owner wants to win before he dies. You know, but I mean, you're going to have to spend some money. That's the bottom line, and you can't go out and get this
Well,
mid-tier
I don't
guy.
think money was the problem last year. On a single year, they raised their payroll from about 100 million to about 160 million last year.
Well, you think O'Neill was a good was
No,
the
it's how you spend. It's how you spend
exactly?
it,
Oh,
Rick.
really? I
It's
mean,
how you
you're going
spend
to
it.
have to, you have to, just like you said with the pitching, you're
Yeah.
going to have to draft some pitchers for God's sakes.
But
They're out there,
but a player like Bregman he's not going to come here. I mean, they're not paying 40 plus
he's going
million
back to
dollars.
Boston.
Yeah. But Bichette going to
well,
make? Is he a
Um,
27, $28 million a year player?
yeah, it's probably like 8 times 30. Does that make sense to you? Is that too much?
damn.
7 times
The
30?
length of the contract scares me with him.
Six
He's
times 30? I don't know.
yeah.
To me, he's probably around
He's
that
probably a
territory.
$180 million
Yeah, like
player.
or close to 200.
Yeah.
And like, would you sign him to play second and kick Jackson out to center? We talked about that before. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know.
Like they need
Yeah.
to inject some talent into this lineup for
Yeah.
next year somehow,
Yeah.
some way.
Yeah. Ross, you remember Marcelo Osuna in his prime.
Yes. Yeah.
He last year, down year, 35 years old. 2 previous years in Atlanta, over 100 RBIs. I don't think Atlanta's going to have him back. Is the one bad year at 35? Does that mean he can't come back and put together 2 really good years for you?
I don't think they want to invest in that. I
Okay.
don't think I don't think as an owner that old
But that's
when
like
there's
35 million for 2 years probably gets him.
yeah, that's possible.
He's probably had
Uh,
3 or 400 RBI seasons. I'm just trying to think who the right fit are because you
yeah.
mentioned Bellinger. I think he's close to a $30 million player. You know, that's why he opted out of his deal. He's looking for a 5 year, probably $150 million player. And I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
All
they
right.
need to do their homework. I know
All
that.
right. Well, it all starts tomorrow. We'll meet Craig Albernaz down at the warehouse tomorrow. And Luke, you and I will probably hop on over the next day or
Yeah,
so.
we'll talk when we get down to the arena tonight. We'll talk about that.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Ross, it's been a pleasure having you on with us all year, and we look forward to doing it again as events warrant and all next season. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Sounds
Thank you,
good.
guys. All right. That's going to do it for today. Luke and I are making our way down to CFG Arena to see the Maryland Terrapins under Buzz Williams for the first time. Are all the guys playing, Luke?
Not all of them, but a couple of them who missed the UMBC exhibition are back for tonight.
Okay.
So we'll see.
All right. All right. Stay tuned. Glenn and I will be on with our picks this Thursday, I believe. And I'll be doing some individual and Zooms with Luke I mean, with some baseball writers, and we'll keep you posted on things. Thanks for joining us again, and thanks to the Costas Inn. Bye for now.